What's going on, y'all? Machiavelli Mills TV. Good morning to my crew, to my people out here that watch my channel consistently. So look, y'all, recording artist Gunna of the YSL record label of Young Thug's YSL record label was released from prison yesterday. And upon his release, he was trending all on Twitter. People were accusing him of snitching on the YSL crew and his CEO, his homie, his partner, Young Thug. People were like, is he snitch? He's snitching on Thug. He's snitching on Thug. He's snitching on Jeffrey. That's Young Thug's real name. And the reason why people believe he's quote unquote telling is because he's pleading guilty to gang charges. That was I guess a condition of his release to he's pleading guilty to gang charges. And basically what that is he's admitting that YSL was not only a record label, but also a gang. They were functioning as a gang. And why some people believe it's snitching or it's putting Young Thug in a bad situation is that allegedly that Young Thug's attorneys are fighting against the claim that YSL was a record label and a gang at all. They don't want to. They're trying to fight against the whole statement that YSL was a gang. But Gunna is allegedly pleading guilty to gang charges, admitting that YSL was a record label and a gang. They were acting as both. And so now everybody like, man, Gunna's street credibility is coming into question. He's being looked at as like shaky, as not a stand-up individual. And people are trying to clown him, right? The song was Pushing P. Now they saying he pushing please, right? And people making fun of that. And see, this right here, man, let this be not a rude awakening. Let this be a lesson to young black men out there. And I'm going to say this, and the reason why I say this is because I don't think Gunna had anything to do with any of the street stuff. I don't think he had anything to do with none of the alleged violence that took place, alleged, killings that took place, none of that. I don't think he had a part in any of that. However, Gunna was around these individuals. He was throwing up the gang signs, doing little gang handshakes, making little references in songs to certain things and so on and so forth, giving him a direct affiliation, not just to the record label, but to alleged gang activity. And I don't think Gunna is really that type of dude. I really don't. But I think what happened in this situation is that Gunna, like a lot of young men in the inner cities of America, feel that in order to be validated, they have to surround themselves by street dudes to look official, to look the part, to be like, to be respected. They got to surround themselves with street dudes and surround themselves with the wolves to have a certain image, a certain bravado about themselves. And I always tell young men, you have to be very careful of that because you can surround yourself around individuals and it can come back to bite you in the end. When you hang around the wolves, wolf activity is going to come your way. Whether it be some street stuff, whether it be the police indicting you in certain things because you hang around these individuals every day. You shaking up the little gang stuff, shaking up the gang, doing the gang handshake. You making little gestures like the gang members. You throwing up gang signs and all of that. You making references to street stuff in the music, referencing YSL to street stuff and all this and all of that. They're going to look at you as part of that movement. And when you're part of that, you're going to have to deal with the consequences of these actions, whether it be sitting in jail, right? Whether it be you going in jail and then you trying to get your way out of the situation and then people hearing about you possibly getting out of jail, they thinking you snitching and it's putting a little bad image and reputation on your name. To absolve yourself of any of that. If you're not a street dude, don't hang around the wolves. Hang around stand-up dudes that's out here trying to make a living, trying to provide for their family, trying to find a way out the hood, and that's it, that's all. You don't have to be solidified. You don't have to hang around street dudes. Young black men gotta recognize that. You don't have to be respected. You don't have to surround yourself around the vultures. Cause eventually what the vultures like to eat. They're gonna eat off you in any type of way, whether it be extortion, whatever, or they're gonna put you in bad situations and bad spots that even if you try to get yourself out of it, they're going to clown you and down you and say, look, no, you chose to participate in this. You wanted to be around it. It is what it is. And a part of that is it makes sense if you're trying to profit, if you're trying to, if you're gaining things around, if you're gaining things based upon this affiliation, if you're gaining things like a good image, good reputation, this, that, and the third, by hanging by hanging around these individuals, if you're benefiting from it, yeah, they're gonna expect you to hold up to certain principles. And that's why, as a young man growing up in Chicago, I never wanted to hang around the street dudes. I knew what came with that. At a young age, I knew what came with it. And I knew that I was not willing to go to jail for no 30, 40 years. I'm trying to live my life. Right? At the time, I didn't have any children. Coming up, I had my first child, I was 18 years old. But I'm saying, before then, I knew I wanted to live a long, prosperous life. I wanted to be out here in the free world. I wanted to go to college. I wanted to, do a lot of things that people never even could imagine me, doing, but I wanted to achieve things outside of my wildest dreams. And I knew I couldn't do that if I was locked up or I was around certain individuals that could get me locked up. But this is a telltale story, man. Like, let this be a story to young black men. Gunna is going through the situation where his reputation is being dragged through the mud, drugged through the mud, and smeared. Because I feel like he felt, like, again, signing to the record label, Young Thug changed his life. Yes, putting him in position to be a recording artist and giving him a record deal to take him to new heights. But it was Gunna who was choosing to throw up the gang signs, reference YSL in regards to street matters and songs. Shaking up gang stuff, making little gang terminology on tracks, all this and all of that. You're implicating yourself in this crew of men. You're putting yourself in this crew of men who obviously engage in street activity. So at that point, you're putting yourself directly in a line of fire by associating yourself, like stamping it. You stamping all the street activity around you, and you putting all these people around you. Now, when you get locked up, people are going to expect you to uphold the principles of a street gang. Not telling, not copping no pleas, none of that. They want you to stand on all 10 toes and say whatever happened is going to happen. It is what it is. I'm riding with my guys. I'm willing to accept all consequences, so on and so forth. People are expecting him to do that, even though he didn't commit none of the violence at all. But they looking like, hold on, if you're benefiting from street activity in any type of way, whether it be your image, you're profiting off of the street image through your music, because Gunna be talking some street stuff in his music. He does. And they like, hold on. So if you talking that street stuff, you got these dudes around you, right? You doing all of this, you're going to have to stand 10 toes down. And all of this really could have been avoided if Gunna just decided to be a recording artist, and that was it. If he wasn't saying gang terminology on tracks, if he wasn't shaking up gang signs, if he wasn't, shaking up, doing gang handshakes, if he wasn't throwing up gang signs, if he wasn't referencing street stuff that YSL did on songs, I think his image, he would be viewed a little differently as more of a civilian, to where those things wouldn't come back to bite him and he could plead guilty and be like, all right, I'm done, this is what it is, right? Now, some people feel like Thug could have signed off on him to say these type of things. Some people say, why would Thug do that if it's going to dig him a deeper hole? It doesn't make sense, right? Some people feel like it doesn't make sense for Thug to even co-sign on any of that if it's going to put him in a deeper hole in a worse situation. So they're like, it don't make no sense. But what I'm saying is that, like, what I'm basically saying is all of this really could have been avoided. Not avoided. It could have, I feel like, if let's just say if Gunna signed a record deal to YSL, he wouldn't have been looked at to uphold certain principles if he wasn't trying to profit off of street activity. You feel me? If he wasn't trying to surround himself by he wasn't trying to surround himself with certain individuals to make his street presence look more dominant, to make it look more official, so on and so forth, right? If he was just like, I'm a rapper, that was it, I'm just making music, you know what I mean? And certain people would just look at him like, nah, Gunna, I understand he's a civilian. Now, some people probably would have just still looked at him funny anyway, right? But it's the fact that he was surrounding himself around these individuals, using the gang terminology, saying these certain terms, rapping street stuff in songs, and talking about never snitching and standing on all 10 toes and all that and keeping it solid as a brick and all this and all of that. When you do all of that, it puts you in a bad position. So if something were to happen, people are expecting you to never fold and stand on what you're saying in them songs, right? And again, I felt like Gunna was looking for some type of validation. So he out here, whether it be from other dudes in the industry, other dudes from his area in Georgia or whatever, trying to make yourself look like I'm official. And so you start saying gang terminology and you start, shaking up certain stuff and throwing up certain stuff and shouting out certain stuff. It just, yeah. To get respect and to be validated, you don't have to have gang stuff attached to your name. And a lot of dudes in the hood, even dudes I went to school with, did that to impress women, to impress the dude over here on the other block, the dude over here up the street, trying to impress this one and that one, instead of just being yourself, right? But again, in the hood, I don't know what it is. The a lot of young black folks feel like the more street stuff, in the hood at least, a lot of black folks, young black people think you're not respectable until you got a street image or street reputation. That people won't respect you in the hood. Some people won't unless they know you be outside where it ain't safe at. You hang around this crew. You affiliated with this person. You be on this block. You know what I'm saying? Like all that type of stuff. I remember when I was in college, man, and I'm in college, and I first get to school. I always been who I am. I always tell y'all that. I always been a smiling individual. I always been like I never was an angry person. I never was an aggressive person. I always been a mild-mannered individual, right? So when I got to college, in an HBCU setting, the classroom sizes are small. So it's like high school classroom sizes, for the most part. 30 kids, 35, something like that, right? So it's enough for us to stand up and announce where we're from, our hometown, what our major is, so on and so forth. I get up, I'm telling everybody, again, because it's more than a fact, everyone on the south side of Chicago. I'm telling everybody I'm from the south side of Chicago, Illinois. I'm here for, doing communication. I really wasn't even, didn't have a major at that point. I was undecided. But, I'm here, I'm here on scholarship, whatever. So another dude in class from Chicago, too. He stand up and he tell me he from over east, he from the real hood. He from the real hood, all this and all that, right? Because he went to South Shore High School. He from the real hood. So I can tell he's looking at me like I'm a square. Like he thinking I'm from the suburbs. He thinking I'm from the burbs or something. Like I'm a suburban boy that don't know nothing and I'm just claiming Chicago just to be claiming it. Little do he know, I done been in wilder hoods than he ever can imagine, because it was what it was. My mama we moved a lot, that's what we was living at, right? But anyway, he ain't really respecting me that much. You can tell he really looking at me like a suburban kid, and I'm not trying to get his respect. I don't give a damn, but as long as you don't disrespect me, we cool. Anyway, one summer, later on that summer, I come back to Chicago, and I'm with my boy KD, Kiefer Sykes. Now, Kiefer playing in this basketball game, over east, in Terratown, right? In No Limit territory, where G Herbo from. G Herbo and Bibby is at the park. My boy KD playing in the game. Me and KD and his brother JJ, we over there, over east. Over there in No Limit, in No Limit hood. Dude is from No Limit, the dude that was at school with me. He sees me, he come up to me smiling, what's up, bro? What's up, bro? Man, I thought you from the burbs, bro. I said, boy, I said, nah, boy, I told you I'm from Chicago, boy. Right? True, you will. What's up, man? When you going back to Valley? He all happy-go-lucky with me, right? We get back to school, the boy is trying to act like he's my best friend. He's trying to act like he my main man, my main partner. He all happy-go-giddy to see me every single time, running up to me. He never did any of this before. I said it to say, the brother only respected me because he seen me in a place where stuff go down at, right? In a place where people can die at. He didn't respect me till he seen me over there. He didn't respect me off my morals, my principles, my values, me being a stand-up individual. He came and respected me off of really seeing that I be in places where it go down at or something. And really, I don't even really, it's not a desire for me to even try to show that to people. But it was just like, he didn't respect me until he seen me with in a certain area, in a certain environment, on a certain block, around a certain type of individuals, and holding my own around certain individuals. It was so lame to me. But he didn't respect me until then. And that right there is what drives young men who are often like me, chill, cool, calm, and collected guys, non-street dudes. It drives dudes who are of my ilk sometimes, or even though not me, because I'm not impressionable and I don't have a desire to try to impress, to try to seek validation. But I'm saying young dudes who are cool, calm, and collected in mild manner, that drives them to try to be, to try to have street affiliations, to surround themselves with certain gang members, certain dudes, certain individuals, to try to give off a look that they're official and validated, so that they don't have to deal with what I dealt with people questioning my if I was respectable or not, questioning if I was cool or not, questioning if I was really from Chicago, questioning if I was really a guy who you could tip your hat to. Dude ain't the dude I'm talking about. He didn't feel like he could tip his hat to me until he seen me on that block over there, till he seen me over east, till he seen me over there in No Limit. You know, that's when he felt like I was a guy he could tip his hat to. And I was just like, yeah, that's just wild. And a lot of young men, they don't never want to have to go through that. You know, they don't like that. Even they could be from the suburbs or the city. And they don't want to have to go through people questioning them or, looking at them as less respectable or not credible or not cool enough. So they surround themselves with wolves. And if you surround yourself with wolves, I'm going to say it again, you surround yourself with wolves, you can expect wolf activity to happen. Whether it be them stealing from you, robbing you, trying to backdoor you, trying to talk to your girlfriend, because they slimy, snake, shiesty individuals. But people are willing to risk all of that to get validation by hanging around these people. Even if it means possibly them getting into a situation legally, going to jail, because they don't want to not be cool. And the pressure to be cool is a motherfucker in the hood. And I think that's what Gunna probably was. He wasn't really no street dude, but he wanted that look. He wanted that image and reputation, because let's face it, it's a lot of girls around his age. It's a lot of girls that aren't impressed by that. But when he was coming up, I'm sure there was a lot of girls around his age, around his way, that was impressed by the fact that he hung around certain individuals, that he was able to be around this one and that one. That was a street dude. He was able to hang around this street dude that did this, that did that. This street dude that had a certain name and reputation. Gunna was around them. He was willing to take on all of that possibilities of all those crazy things happening, as long as he was able to stand next to those dudes and be validated. Young black men never seek validation from folks, especially people that don't matter. You seek validation from the Most High, right? Validation from your parents, from the Most High. That's it, that's all. That's it, that's all. You don't need validation from nobody else. You live your life according to how you want to live it, and according to how the Most High sees fit. But trying to impress other folks and trying to come off a certain way to other people by surrounding yourself with wolves, it can lead to nothing but crazy detrimental actions or consequences. Crazy consequences. And now look, Gunna getting his reputation smeared. People looking at him funny style and looking at him like he's not a stand-up individual, because he's the one he was surrounding. He was not that he was on a record label, because I'm sure he wanted to take a record label deal to change his life. It wasn't, but look, my thing is, if he was a regular R&B singer, just singing songs, that was it. Not singing, not shaking up stuff, not throwing up signs, not singing songs and talking about what YSL was doing this and all of that, and he wasn't a snitch and he could never snitch and all this and all of that. If he wasn't doing none of that, I don't think his name and image would be in jeopardy like that at all. But because, he was trying to fit in and he was trying to come across as street as some of the other dudes around him at times, it's coming back to bite him, even though I don't feel like he had nothing to do with nothing. So I say this to say, young black men, be yourself at all times. Don't feel the pressure to put people around you to look a certain way. Don't feel pressure to shake up certain stuff, to claim certain stuff, to throw up certain stuff, to talk a certain way, to use certain terminology to be looked at as cool. Be yourself, man. Being yourself keeps you out of a whole lot of trouble and keep the negative bullshit from around you. Machiavelli Mills TV, I'm out. Peace.